Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I need a clicker. There we go. All right. Briefly, I'll just let you know who we are to start with, and we'll talk about the whole people challenges. Our product, Innovi Health, we have a combination of things we do in the healthcare space, let you know, coding, medical billing, a lot of those kind of things. But and we started back in '93, so we've been around a long time. Heavily in the ACO space, payer space, doctors, coders, billers, auditors, insurance companies, all that kind of stuff. But what do we have in common is what's happened to us in this space of who moved our cheese? Are we surviving when we should be thriving? Things have changed. How are you going to motivate your employees? What kind of retention strategy do you have? They can bolt on a dime. And how are you going to motivate them? Have you re-examined your company core values? Are they the right values to attract the right people? Is my current staff willing to keep things as they have been in the past? Or do they want change too? As an executive, what must I do to attract those people that I want to work for me? What's unique about me or our company that will make people want to be part of that team? And how do I keep people focused on what I call core, the critical operating revenue generating activities? In a business, you've all seen this. Over time, if you don't relook at everything you're doing, there's a whole bunch of things in your organization that you're doing that isn't about making money. Maybe it's a bunch of reports that are generated. I remember this one company, it was a food company that had all these reports that were generated for their management, and they were worried about getting all those things done, and there was a big process. Well, it turned out no one was actually looking at those reports, but there was all this time and energy spent on the creation of these reports. And then, do they not have the value the executive needed? Or was there a change that needed to be made? Always be asking those questions. So we got this great resignation going on, right? What is it? The big quit? The big reshuffle? There's a big economic trend. This is the definition. There's a mass movement away from wanting change, wanting something different. Look at the graph here. Look at just in the last year where you see it's going. It's been kind of trending up anyway, but it really, post-COVID, has taken a big jump, where it's tough to keep people on board. So why is that? I think people have had a time to reevaluate how they do the job. Do they want to be where they're at? Is the grass greener somewhere else, right? A lot of the younger generation, in our hiring practices we've found, they want more than money. They want to work for a cause. They want a purpose. They want a reason to come to work or to do a project. One company in Manhattan, they had a great business, but he said, our biggest challenge is everyone doesn't want to come to work anymore. They said, let me stay remote, because they got a 90-minute commute to Manhattan and 90-minute back out into the suburbs. And he said, if we force them, we're going to lose them. So they're grappling with that. People can now select where they want to work without relocating. Every business is different, though. Some require someone to be there, but you need to look at your organization to find out what can I do to be unique and different to get people to stay. The other challenge is there's a lot of industry now that is willing to hire people to work remotely because they're trying to keep the good talent. The really good talent have had a chance to work for 2 years from home and have figured out that, maybe that's what I want to do. And so people are looking at that. And we've also got salary inflationary pressures going on, which I'm sure you're all experiencing, where people are demanding more money because they can get it down the street or in a neighboring state or not that far away. I'm going to tell you one true story about a company. This isn't our company, but it's one down the street from us that I'm aware of. They really wanted to get the employees back in the office, and were trying really hard to do it. But they were doing it at an accelerated pace, and I'm going to tell you what happened. Week one, they said, well, what we'll do is we'll go 4 days, and then we'll do one day in the office, but 4 days remote. Then the second week, then they changed to 3-2. Week 3, they thought we'll try to create some motivational activities in the office, but I was told that they were kind of corny, and the people could tell it was a little bit artificial, didn't feel right. Week 4, employees begin to be a little more disgruntled about wanting to return to the office environment, and the water cooler talk starts happening, right? Well, here we are a month after that, week 8. After 2 months, company insists all the employees need to be back in the office. That's, you know what, we worked you back in. And what was the real reason? Well, the business owner had a big building he needed to make sure was filled. If not, then he had a long-term lease contract in play. Well, weeks 9 through 12. Obviously, you can probably guess from week 4 to week 8, a lot of people were reshuffling their resumes and started shopping. Well, after 2 or 3 months, half of their staff was gone. So this is a good example of, if you're going to get people back in the office, it needs to be real, it needs to be purposeful, and you can't rush it. You got to be careful with that. And a lot of employees aren't willing to return to the status quo. It's challenging. It really is challenging. And in the food services business, or where you have a point-to-point connection that has to be there, that's even more challenging. Let's talk about stages of remote work. On a scale of 1 to 10, ask yourself where you fall. 1 would be no remote at all. And you've got kind of hybrids as you go up the ladder. 10 is there's strictly remote. There's no meetings that are synchronous. It's just all asynchronous communication. That's at the 10 level. So our business, I'll give you guys a feel for what we've done to battle this and where we fall. This is how we retain our employees. Just let you know, through the COVID shuffle, I had the advantage of being in a SaaS-related online business. We could go remote, and here is what we did to keep all our people employed. And you all have different strategies, but I'm just helping you give this is anecdotal evidence that this did work for us. Midas, that's our culture, or our core values. So, means to an end, innovative, dependable, attitude, self-starter. What's means to an end for us? As business owners or leaders of your company, if your people understand that you understand that they're working for you, not because that's their end all, it's just a means to an end. It's a way to get some money to be able to do what they really want to do. In our culture, we tell people, if you've got something coming up that's important, if it's a funeral or a wedding or a sick child or a ball game, guess what? As a business owner, I recognize that those are more important than what I'm telling you to do. And I support you in that. And you don't have to feel guilty about leaving to go to a ball game. If your employees really believe that you have their back, that is a huge incentive to want to stay. Why do people leave? They don't like their manager, they're berated, they're belittled. They're not just a cog in a wheel, they're a person, and they have a life. And their life shouldn't be that business. That's the means to an end. Second, innovative. Our biggest issue, remember in school, you were always taught, you can't make mistakes, don't screw up, don't do things wrong. We want people to try new things. Be creative. It's okay if you make a mistake. We have that culture in our company, because I don't want people to be, what happens if you're in a no-mistake culture, they go into huge, what's the right word? Effort to make it so they don't make a mistake. So they spend all this time instead of just throwing some spaghetti in the wall that will probably just stick. So it's important to allow people to have that creativity. Dependable. We want people to do what they say they're going to do and just get it done. Be there and get the job done. Attitude is everything. Anyone ever had someone in their organization that had a bad attitude? Yeah, right? It's cancer. It really can create so much problem, and it tears the company down. So if someone has that challenge, or they're negative, don't have a positive attitude, they can be taught otherwise. But usually those kind of people, if they understand that's the culture, they'll either change, or they'll weed themselves out if they know that's not how the company functions anymore. And once in our own company years ago, when I said that was our culture, there was one or two people that didn't like that approach. They wanted to be that naysayer in the organization, and then they eventually weeded themselves out. It's interesting to watch. Self-starter. What do they say about success? 90% of success is showing up, just getting it done. So, remote work. We actually went, except for shipping and receiving, we went remote completely at the beginning of COVID, and we refined our processes and our communication channels and how we did it. And when it all kind of changed and we were still making money, the employees wanted to stay home, and that's what we've done. We have a 4-day work week. We don't work 5 days. That seems kind of odd to some, but we made that jump before COVID for a variety of reasons. As a business owner, how am I going to retain people? What are some strategies to where they would never go look anywhere else for a job? So this is, as a business owner, I'm telling you what our strategy was. Well, if I have everyone working 4 days a week, if they were to look for another job, they would have to decide that it would be worth 52 more days a year that they don't get to do what they want to do, which goes back to the means to an end. My COO told me that in this 4-day work week with minimal water cooler talk, it takes him less hassle than if we were in the office with all the stuff people hear through the walls and then feel bad about what someone said or what they thought they may have said, but was something different about someone else, and it just becomes a cycle of negative type attitudes. At home, that kind of thing doesn't happen. But with this commitment, we tell our people, yeah, we've got a flex time, 7 to 4 or 8 to 5 with a 30-minute lunch, but be there. If you got to step away, communicate on our messaging platform, so that way everyone knows we're a team. And then once the team period's over, we take a break, and then you go spend time with your family or your loved ones or your animals or whatever your thing is. Then you go live your life. Kind of how we do it operationally. We actually have on the different groups that for 5 minutes in the morning, first thing, they have a little 5-minute song where the manager plays a song. They'll either get up and sing or dance. Real quick thing. That's not the regular meeting, but it's that little bit of social water cooler talk. So it's not just so sterile. You don't want your company to be just sterile and it feels like a job. It's got to have some socialness to it. Just so you know, we use EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. Basically, they have these meetings called L10 meetings where we meet every week on the different groups. We have a VTO, which is a kind of a strategy of how your vision, your traction, and how you're going to run your company for the next 3 years to 10 years, what you want to look like, what are your core values, your culture, etc. If you want to go to EOS Worldwide, it's a company that kind of tells you how to do that. We had a consultant come in for 1.5 years and help us with that process at an executive level, and then distill that down to the employees so they're on board. Every meeting functions the same way. It's organized, it's quick, it has an IDS, which is identify, discuss, and solve attitude, where you get stuff done. So this has worked well for us. Operationally, we have video meetings, company chat system, internal communication, and collaboration is how we do it, and it works well. So you have your whole team there socially. You want to have a quick meeting, then you break into your video meetings. Holidays and vacations truly respected. It's important that they really feel like they can go on vacation. One of the ways we've done it is if you have a function that's critical for your company, if you can get it to where you have 2 people that can do that function, then as you grow, then the person that goes on vacation really can know that his other person has his back. So I know it can happen overnight, but you start out with the most painfully critical things, and then you move through your desktop publishing, your support, your programmers, all that. So that's how we did it, and I want to leave a little bit of time open for Q&A and talk about people and management and how some things we've learned and how it might help you in your businesses. Any questions? Yeah.
I liked what you said about maintaining a positive culture and trying to keep negative talk to a minimum. I was wondering, how do you balance that with people being free to bring up constructive criticism? Like what kind of structures do you put in place to encourage that?
We like to go with the whole criticize in private and praise in public. That's if you just kind of follow that and get your employees to follow that mentality. If you've got something negative to say, work it out individually with people. If you criticize someone in front of their peers, what's the first thing that happens? They're defensive, and you've just built a huge wall. Then the defensiveness is, well, yeah, but he did this or she did that, and that's why I did that. And then they've got to cover their back, and it just kind of spirals. Yeah, definitely criticize privately, and don't criticize in everything. I mean, as a business owner, if I delegate a whole task to someone, I need to be okay of letting go of the vine and having it be done about 70% like I would do it. Allow them to bring their creativity and their uniqueness into what would be done. It doesn't have to be done your way. The businesses where the owner says, I have to do everything myself or else the whole thing just fails. Those people just work themselves into a busy, tizzy cycle of never, ever allowing their company to grow. But you need to let go of the vine and let people do their thing and see what they can do. Anyway, does that help a little bit? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Sure you've had any, how do you deal with so things to think about? There are some employees that have to be fixed, that have to be in that position. How do you keep them motivated? You'll have to find something else. When you can go remote, I think your ability, our last hire we just did, the quality of the level of talent I was able to get because I could say 4-day work week, work from home, I was able to get a lot higher quality candidate than I would have otherwise got because of that. But any other experience someone's learned and you want to talk about? No? Okay. Well, good luck to you all, keeping your people motivated and excited, but look at yourself and your core business as how it functions, and it's amazing how many little things you can do to make it better for your people. Thank you for your time.